The smell of burnt ozone lingered in the command chamber of the flagship Talvather, a sleek crescent-shaped vessel adrift amidst the wreckage of an interstellar battle. Admiral Corvash of the Eldar Dominion stared silently at the holomap, his mandibles clicking in frustration. The scene displayed on the shimmering screen was grim, hundreds of Eldar ships burning in the void, the remains of a once glorious fleet that had spanned galaxies. "Admiral, we have lost Sector 9," hissed Commander Shrala, her voice strained. "The Kalshera fleet is closing in. We won't survive another direct engagement." Corvash's upper arms twitched. His people were warriors, proud and unyielding. For thousands of cycles, they had dominated the Outer Rim, their military prowess unmatched. But now they were being outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outnumbered by the Kalshera, an ancient race of cybernetic conquerors who sought to reduce the Eldar to dust and data. The Kalshera forces operated with mechanical precision, their war machines impenetrable to Eldar weapons. Every tactic, every countermeasure had been anticipated and crushed. "We cannot continue this," Corvash growled. "At this rate, our entire civilization will fall." Shrala's eyes flickered nervously. "There is another option, Admiral." Corvash turned his gaze toward her, the movement slow, deliberate. "Speak plainly, Commander." She hesitated. "The humans." The room fell into an uneasy silence. The mention of humans made Corvash's mandibles clench involuntarily. Humanity was a relatively new addition to the galactic stage, and despite their technological inferiority, they had developed a reputation for one thing: chaos. Unlike the Eldar, whose tactics were honed over millennia, humans operated on unpredictability and sheer audacity. Some saw them as a wild card, others as a nuisance. But one thing was certain: when humans entered a fight, the rules tended to change. "You would have us stoop to that level?" Corvash snarled. "They are reckless, impulsive." "Yes, Admiral, but they are also effective," Shrala interrupted, her voice growing firmer. "Their unconventional tactics confuse the Kalshera algorithms. It's why their systems haven't fully adapted to human resistance yet." Corvash's eyes narrowed, but he knew she was right. Every major galactic power had dismissed humanity as unworthy of serious consideration, yet time and again, they had survived wars that should have destroyed them. Perhaps that very recklessness was what the Eldar needed now. "Send the transmission," Corvash ordered finally, his voice tight with reluctance. "Call them in." Aboard the USS Thunderchild, somewhere in the Alpha Quadrant. Captain Amelia Reyes was halfway through her coffee when the emergency transmission came through. Her ship, a rugged human-made destroyer, had just completed a successful mission escorting a convoy through pirate-infested space. Now, the words flashing on the screen caught her by surprise. "Incoming transmission from the Eldar Dominion," Lieutenant Carr said, a frown creasing his face. "They're asking for assistance." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "The Eldar? I didn't think they believed in asking for help." "Neither did I, Captain. But according to this, they're desperate. Their battle against the Kalshera is going poorly. They've specifically requested human forces." Reyes sipped her coffee thoughtfully. Humans didn't get calls like this often. The Eldar were a prideful species, and the fact they were reaching out to Earthborn meant things were worse than they were letting on. A wicked grin slowly spread across her face. "Helm, set course for the Eldar coordinates. And someone get the Marines ready, we might be in for a fight." The Eldar frontline. 3 days later, the Thunderchild dropped out of hyperspace alongside a hastily assembled human battle group. When they arrived, the scene was as grim as they had expected. The Eldar forces were scattered, struggling to maintain cohesion as the Kalshera fleet pushed deeper into their territory. The humans had been briefed on the situation, and now Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "Jesus," Carr muttered beside her. "They're getting slaughtered out there." "Not for long," Reyes replied with a grin. "Let's show these metalheads what human ingenuity looks like." The first strike came quickly. The Thunderchild and its sister ships moved in erratic patterns, zigzagging unpredictably through the void, launching targeted assaults at key Kalshera vessels. Human tactics were wild, chaotic, employing irregular formations, guerrilla-style ambushes, and synchronized flanking maneuvers that defied the rigid logic of the Kalshera algorithms. At first, the Kalshera ships didn't respond, as though the humans' tactics were beneath their notice. But soon, the Kalshera AI began to strain against the unorthodox movements, hesitating to react. It was a weakness the humans pounced on. Captain Reyes watched with satisfaction as the first Kalshera destroyer imploded under the concentrated fire of human frigates. "Carr, get the Marines ready. We're boarding one of those things." Carr blinked. "You want to board a Kalshera ship? They're filled with machines. There's no crew to fight." Reyes smirked. "Exactly. That's why they won't expect us." The boarding action was brutal, but Reyes had counted on that. Her team of battle-hardened Marines had breached the Kalshera warship with explosives and plasma cutters, pushing deep into the mechanical innards of the ship. The Kalshera's corridors were sterile and utilitarian, designed for machines, not organics. But it was in that unfamiliarity that the humans found their advantage. The Kalshera were efficient and methodical, but they lacked the ability to improvise. As the humans moved through the ship, they laid traps, hacked systems, and used the Kalshera's own rigid programming against them. Soon, the machine soldiers fell into disarray, unable to adapt to the constant barrage of guerrilla tactics. "Captain, we're in." Sergeant Harper's voice crackled over the calm. "We've reached the central core. Planting the EMP charges now." Reyes grinned. "Good work, Sergeant. Get out of there once you're done. I'd hate for you to fry along with the circuits." Minutes later, the Kalshera warship went dark, its systems fried by the humans' EMP attack. It drifted lifeless in space, another victim of humanity's unorthodox warfare. Uldar Command Chamber. Admiral Corvash watched in stunned silence as the tide of battle shifted before his eyes. The humans, those wild, unpredictable creatures, had turned the impossible into reality. Kalshera ships were falling, one after another, unable to cope with the chaos unfolding around them. A hologram of Captain Reyes appeared on the command deck, her expression smug. "Looks like we've bought you some time, Admiral. How's that for human recklessness?" Corvash struggled to find words. "Your methods are unorthodox." Reyes laughed. "That's one way to put it. But the job's not done yet. The Kalshera will adapt eventually. If we're going to win this, we need to hit them where it hurts." "And where would that be?" Reyes leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. "Their central data core. If we take that out, we cripple their entire fleet." Corvash considered her words. It was a bold plan, insane, even. But hadn't the humans proven that insanity was sometimes the key to victory? "Very well," Corvash said slowly. "We will assist you in this endeavor." The final assault. The combined forces of the Uldar and humanity launched their final assault on the Kalshera data core, a massive station nestled deep within enemy territory, guarded by the most powerful warships the galaxy had ever seen. The battle was fierce, with waves of Kalshera fighters and capital ships descending upon the Allied fleet like a storm of metal and fire. But this time, the humans were prepared. As the Uldar engaged the Kalshera forces head-on, providing a distraction, the human ships darted through the chaos, heading straight for the core. Captain Reyes led the charge, her ship weaving through enemy fire with reckless abandon. "Let's make this one count," she muttered, gripping the command console. They breached the station's defenses and deployed their Marines once more. Inside, the fighting was even more brutal, but humanity's unpredictability gave them the edge they needed. Within hours, the EMP charges were set, and the humans made their final retreat. From a distance, Admiral Corvash watched as the Kalshera data core erupted in a flash of light, its systems collapsing under the human assault. The Kalshera fleet, once an unstoppable force, faltered. Their ships drifted aimlessly, powerless, their perfect algorithms reduced to digital ruins. Epilogue. In the aftermath, the Uldar Dominion was saved. Their fleets regrouped, pushing the remaining Kalshera forces back into the dark corners of the galaxy. Humanity, once seen as reckless and undisciplined, had proven themselves to be far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Standing aboard the Thunderchild, Captain Reyes gazed out at the stars, a satisfied smile on her face. "Guess we're not so bad after all," she mused. Back on the Talvather, Admiral Corvash watched as the human ships prepared to depart. His mandibles twitched, a strange sensation of respect settling in his chest. "Humans," he muttered to himself. "Perhaps there is more to them than meets the eye." And as the humans vanished into hyperspace, the galaxy knew that the rules of war had forever changed.